Find the Fairway is coming at you from the Players' Championship, and this week is going to be a fun one because I have the Rob Bolton from PGA Tour. He's been doing all of their fantasy stuff for over a decade, and everyone in the golf world knows who Rob is. They've looked at his picks online. And so Rob is going to navigate us through this new thing called Golfbet for the PGA Tour, what they have going on with that, and the future of gambling on the PGA Tour, as well as a couple of tests here coming up for Rob Bolton. Rob, thanks for being with us. You got the 17th green behind you there at TPC Sawgrass. I got to let everybody know, you took so much time. I appreciate you getting that beauty shot right behind you. It looks great. Though the sun is going down, it looks wonderful.
Hey, man. Chris, great to connect with you. Thank you very much for this invite. This is going to be a lot of fun. I want to reassure everybody that that is not a green screen. That is a real green. And if you want me to prove it by jumping in the water, I'm sorry, that's on pay-per-view only. So we'll have to save that for another time.
We might have to get people to subscribe to that.
Absolute beautiful day today.
And by the way, Rob has a champagne holder holding up his phone. That's how dedicated he is to perfection and making things look great. Hey, Rob, my most important question for you, I scoured the internet for a picture of you in this last frame. This one right here. You are nowhere to be found image-wise on the web, but I feel like you kind of did that for a reason.
Yeah, so I am not seeing whatever you didn't see, I have to admit. I don't know if my video has gone down.
Nope, there it is. I didn't. There you are. Let me show you the video again. It's your social media. I don't even know when this was from.
Oh wow. That was a live. I think it was a live text chat we were running, and in front of me there is my laptop with somebody using AIM to send me the questions, and I would read them live on the air. Yeah. It was 2015 maybe, something like just before AIM. Yeah. But we do whatever we need to do. You know, you're in this business. You do it for a long time. People don't see what's happening behind the scenes. A lot more goes into it, so we can, deliver the magic. That's how the sausage is made, that type of thing. So, but it's all for a good cause, which is to have fun, which is what we're doing this week.
You are on site at the event, the staple event of the PGA Tour, the Players' Championship, the biggest purse ever, $25 million. And I just got to ask, what does the feel like this week, given the fact that we've had so many elevated events in the last 4 weeks? This week, though, feels special just because of the scenery and what's going on around there, right?
Yeah. First of all, 25 mil will buy a lot of champagne buckets.
You won't need to use one of those. You can just get your own holder.
Maybe one bucket, a lot of champagne. I think that would be the idea. This is my 8th Players. My last trip for Players was the opening round in 2020 when it was canceled. Even that day, it was a very weird vibe. That day was almost solemn, and no one knew why. Obviously, we were just entering a point in time that no one knew what it was going to be in the sports world, obviously in the world. And so now we're back. It's been here a couple of years since I've been here, but the vibe is the same as it ever was, if not bigger, because things just continue to get larger and bigger, and the course looks more beautiful than ever. You say that every time, and somehow technology makes the grass look greener. Obviously, the green behind me is going to gobble up the water around the green. Is going to gobble up a few shots, and that's what we expect to have at a tournament like this. But I mean, TPC Sawgrass is TPC Sawgrass. It's the same old bear that'll make some guys wonder why they got into professional golf, which is why we watch this tournament ultimately, because they are really brought to a knee. However, it can be a scoreable track, as we have seen over time. And the first couple of days, it should be. The greens are going to run to about 13 on the stimp. Then the weather is going to arrive. Not sure exactly when at this point, a couple of days in advance of that. And so we're going to find out who's going to have the best, the overall game. But most of all, their mettle, their experience, just the patience that they need to have out here. So, yes, it's a little weird because it's so beautiful. And yet these guys are grinding so hard. It's a juxtaposition.
You mentioned low scorers, and I think one of the reasons people were confused in 2020, Hideki Matsuyama shot a 63 on Thursday, and everyone was like, whoa, where did that come from? You know, Rob, you've been around so long, everyone knows who you are, who follows golf. I don't need to get into your personal background because I usually do that. I get to know guests. People know who you are. We want to know about what's going on with the future of Golfbet. with the PGA Tour. I know you and Will Gray and a bunch of other guys have really
Yeah.
gotten together and hunkered down. It's been your baby, and you're finally launching it. What is the vision for this, given what the future is going to be with gambling, not only in sports, but in golf as well?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time with Will Gray today, Ben Everill today. He's a full-time staff writer on Golfbet right now, and the team will continue to grow. Mike Lascott also on the team and doing his quality work as he has for a number of years, and it's going to continue to grow, as I said. Right now, it's funny because if that's a question that you could literally ask every couple of months, and it's going to have a very different answer, and then the previous answer will be like, oh yeah, this seems like such a long time ago because things are moving so quickly, and it's exciting and it's nerve-wracking.
Well,
and
you got to
it's
find out what
confusing.
works too, right? See what works.
What we're doing is we have a lot of experience, a lot of acumen on the team.
Mhm.
We have a lot of we have a great rapport, most of all, behind the scenes, which is key to any great team, the chemistry. And that's one of the reasons for me personally to be here because I work virtually from home in Arizona. So not to get the vibe as much as I do. So this today is a big day for me. I need to establish that with a new team, with people I already know, which is cool. And already I can sense how excited we are. In terms of more specifics, like a week like this is a week where we had targeted to roll out some new things, content, deeper, wider on a tournament like this. Obviously, it's the PGA Tour's flagship event in its own backyard. We better. I think people expect that from us. So we're delivering that as best we possibly can. And then we have so many things in the hopper, and I would be, careful how I would want to present that. But we're looking at what's working, how it works with our workflow, because you never get a week off in golf, you know that. And then how can we add and optimize what we're already doing without affecting it in a negative way? And again, I think these are just sort of building the brand 101 sorts of stuff, but we're doing it in an environment that's brand new, and we're doing it with me being virtual. I mean, I have my role, but the goal is to include me more and get Ben doing different things in Glass, ramping into other areas as well. And Will Gray's, he's been contributing, and he's the team leader. So everybody's wearing a lot of hats. And look, we're built for it. There's nothing else we'd rather do. All of that's a good thing. I mean, that's nothing the fan or the gamer really cares about. But we're listening as well to those people because they're helping guide where we're going with it, and it matters. We've always done that. It's one of the reasons I've been able to do what I can do for so long is because I've been listening to what the audience has wanted for so long. Okay, great idea. We'll see what we can do. Respond quickly, swiftly and smartly, and move along and sustain that as best as possible. Give it a try. But the thing about golf is since it's a niche, it can be easy to gravitate into a space where there's a mass appeal for something. That's fine, that's necessary. But with golf as a niche, and with betting especially, with all of the markets, we need to gravitate into those too. We need to support those as well. And right now I sense a terrific movement or motion into that, and making sure that we are doing that. We're all being heard. We're listening to each other. Most of all, we're listening to the people who are reading and consuming what we have. So it's an organic process. It's a symbiotic process. It's a new process, and things are moving fast. And so this is a great test to see what happens in the future a week like this.
When your bosses came to you and had talked about this brand, why do you think it was important that this Golfbet brand happened?
So PGA Tour has had a stake in Golfbet. Now it's a brand for betting and gaming and fantasy. Although fantasy still has its own wing, and that's my baby, so to speak.
Yeah.
I've always been the fantasy guy, but there's so much crossover because it is a gaming environment, but on a new platform. So the idea is, well, kind of what I just said a minute ago. We've seen this swell in the marketplace from only fantasy, very niche. Worked at Roto World for 8 years. I know how little traffic golf got versus all of the team sports, yet it was still pretty strong and growing fast and large by the time I left in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with DFS since 2012 really heavy in the golf space, and now with betting, the tour has currently, again, ask me in 2 months, this might change. Currently has 6 partnerships, long-term partnerships with official betting operators, and so we have various agreements with all of them to lift what they're doing, how they're doing it, educate the gamer. Obviously, all of the responsible language and voicing that goes into all of it, but obviously have fun with it, and obviously hopefully win with it. So it's just really the next thing. And the tour has been in bed with it, I suppose. I don't know if that's a phrase that everybody likes using, but it just makes sense to anyone watching right now. You know what that means, for a few years. And so now it's at the point. 2023 is the big transition. It's the big. We have a team now. And before it was just some content. Now it's a team.
And to be clear, Golfbet is its own new thing, and fantasy golf has been around with the PGA Tour for a while. Is fantasy golf evolving? What is that going to look like in the future? You can see right here, fans can see how it's broken up. You got 4 segments. You got 6 players, 4 in the lineup. You can bench 2 whenever you want throughout the entire 4 rounds. You can use 3 players. Use a player 3 times, for an entire segment, 4 segments. That's just the rundown of what it looks like right now. Have you guys talked about what the future could be of fantasy golf?
Yeah, it's one of those things where if it's not broken, just leave it alone. That game is so self-sustaining. It's a simple game, but there's enough complexity to it to irritate the smart gamer, and that includes me. And that's how you roll. That we were talking about it earlier today about how I left Rahm on the bench at Kapalua and Morikawa lost the lead, and I didn't get up to 103 fantasy points. And but then Ben left Rahm on the bench at the Farmers. It's just like, home on the bench or something like that. It's just like, well, that's why we play. It's why we have fun. But it's literally it's not going anywhere. There's always been games introduced. Some of them have stuck around longer than others. Some of them don't last very long. But look, they hired me in 2010 to be a fantasy guy with nothing, no support of any kind, and we built it into something. And that game is the latest iteration of a series of types of team format in fantasy. In terms of when is it evolving, it's one of those things where it's always evolving. It just depends on what kind of measure of time you want it to use. So many, I used to say this, Chris, working in this business for a long time and talking with people and understanding a little about team fantasy sports, because I played those as well over time. There are, admittedly, there are more fantasy formats in golf than there are in all of the other sports combined. There's just so many ways to play. A lot of them are homegrown. You got some stuff on the websites. Obviously, we have a game, and I've always enjoyed listening to the gamers who don't play PGA Tour fantasy golf, but they have something and they want to know something they read and how it applies to them. And look, I'm always there. I'm very accessible on Twitter, and I'm always going back and forth. And in fact, I was in a meeting today where a couple of the ideas I've received from readers in the last month or so they're being efforted by people at the tour, and they're terrific, simple, genius ideas that sometimes when you're so close to it, you just don't see, and that's what I'm getting at. We listen, and it couldn't be truer. We spend so much time doing what we need to do, but sometimes you want to step away and you don't want to listen. Well, I built a career out of listening, and so we're on that path where the answer to the question would be, it almost depends on what people want, because we'll just continue to deliver with it what we can about that.
And you never know what people are going to want. And it sounds like you guys have a good mix of knowing what works with Fantasy Golf's brand there, and also listening to what could work in the future. Talking about Morikawa and Rahm and Kapalua and the disaster that happened for Morikawa, it kind of highlights how hard and fickle golf betting is, and really what makes it so fun and exhilarating. I know there's a stress on looking at weekend rounds and updating your bets on weekend rounds. So, Rob, I want to play a little game with you here. These are 4 scenarios going into a Sunday that actually really happened on the PGA Tour in 2023. These are 4 players who, on a Sunday, were in a given position, and they had their odds there. Option number 1, I want you to tell me which one of these 4 sounds like the best bet to win the title on Sunday. A guy is a top 5 player in the world. He's 2 back of the leader, but another top 5 player in the world is the leader. That guy is plus 300. He's 2 back. Option 2 is a top 20 player in the world. He's 4 shots back, but the 210th rated player in the world is winning. He's 4 up on this top 20 guy, and the top 20 guy is plus 550. Option 3, this guy's leading the tournament. He's leading by 1. He's a top 50 player in the world, but there's 5 players in the top 25 within 4 shots of him. So he leads by 1. 5 top 25 players within 4 shots. And this leader is plus 600. That's the highest odds of any of these, and he's leading by 1. Option 4, another plus 550. He's a top 12 rated player in the world. He's 3 back, and the leader, who's 3 up on him, is a top 75 player. So of these 4 options, Rob, which would you tell your viewers is going to win this golf tournament on Sunday?
Speaking of fun, this is when we learn that fun is a relative term. and
hey,
Chris,
think about this. Think about this.
What are you doing to me?
Think really hard.
Yeah.
This is all 2023. I shouldn't have even told you this has all been real, because
that's okay.
I shouldn't have told you.
I'm ruling out 2.
You're ruling out 2.
I'm ruling out the 5 plus 550, 4 back, and that's because I don't care about world ranking as much as most people. And when the 210th guy leads, he doesn't feel like the 210th guy at that moment.
There's a reason why he's leading.
There's a reason why he's leading. And it's not because he's 210th in the world. I get it. Like, people use the world golf ranking.
This is live television. You caught it, and you still got it. And look, you put it back up, and you're not missing a beat. Keep going.
What just happened? So I don't really get caught up in that. Again, with golf, the difference between 1 and 7 or whatever is so close. It's a mathematical formula. Certain.
That guy's too far back, is your point. From a good player. Doesn't matter if the guy's 210th.
Yes.
Okay.
The 4th one I'm also ruling out, basically for the same reason.
Okay. So
I'm not looking at the odds as much as I'm looking at your parameters on this game we're playing.
Yep.
In terms of the other 2, when we got through the 4, the first one made the most sense just because he's only 2 back. Yes, top 5. Yes, he's going to be an outstanding player. The odds are 3-1 at that point. You're not going to get much shorter at that point with very little time to go. I don't know if I'd necessarily invest much in that. I mean, it's only 3-1, but that would be the one I would pick. The third one, those are at that point it looks like a crapshoot, but he also could be more emboldened to hold off the rest. That's probably the most intriguing one, but I'm going to go with your first one. Plus
okay, Rob, there's a reason why you're the best of the best. You technically didn't get it right.
Okay.
It was Kurt Kitayama was number 3.
Okay.
You almost picked him. You thought he was emboldened that he could do well, and he really could have, but plus 600, kind of tells you something. Jon Rahm got 3rd at the Phoenix Open. That's the one that you picked. Why wouldn't you pick Jon Rahm in that position? Right. I mean, you're a top 5 player. Scotty Scheffler was also playing well, but you're Jon Rahm, and you had just won how many tournaments in the last 2 months?
I'm going to jump in there, Chris, because that's where some of this art form comes in. I've always said what I do is half art, half science, because I don't play golf. Mm-hmm. So I see golf somewhat analytically, but then the experience comes in, and I know better for certain situations. With Rahm at the WM in his college town, he really wants to win badly there. He calls it his 5th major, whatever it is, for him. He maybe wants it more than he would another event where he's more focused, more simplified. So in that context, had I known it was Rahm, I don't know if I still wouldn't have said yeah, but that would have been reason. That makes sense because, again, that's the knock on him. And it was a career best finish in the tournament.
Is that where bias comes in for all of us? I mean, if we would have known it was Jon Rahm, does bias of who it is come in? I mean, because you mentioned throw out being 210 in the world, throw that out. Yep. Shane Lowry didn't even come close to winning the Honda. Chris Kirk was so good, and Eric Cole, who was even more out of nowhere, right? Was also playing out of his mind.
But
we sound biased.
Eric Cole is a mini tour legend. He's won hundreds of events on Bermuda,
Mm.
and he's in a tournament where it's the field is diluted, and he has the acumen. He's 33 or something. He's not going to be phased. So these are the things that I consider for every golfer in every tournament when I'm reviewing what they're doing.
Yeah.
These things matter. You can't necessarily quantify them. So then, if it comes down to who do you like, Eric Cole or someone else, I'm probably not going to like Cole. But you know what? Depending on the odds, that's when I think about, well, these are reasons why he actually does make sense. And all of that's baked into my writing on some level, certainly, with guys like Sleepers on Tuesdays when that publishes, because the value of those guys sometimes isn't just the quantifiable, it's the unquantifiable that still matters.
And I know that you have people want to know about your sleepers, your stars, players who have done well. So let's do another exercise here at the Players Championship. There's still time to get your picks in for PGA Tour's Fantasy Golf. We're at the end of segment 2. I know that. I want to start with your so-called sleepers. And the two very popular ones right now, Rob, are Jason Day and Keegan Bradley. We know Jason Day has won here before, but also 4 top 10s at the Players. Keegan Bradley, sneaky good too. He has 2 top 10s at the Players. Day's been a lot better in 2023 than I realized. He has 10. He has 4 top 10s in 2023, which kind of blew me by surprise. Both these guys are good on all the analytics of shots gained around the green, off the tee, average. Of these two guys, who would you tell fans to pick if you're only going to do one?
Well, right now, I love both for different reasons. Day is number 5 in the power rankings. Bradley is a little further down the list. Not far, though, but he's in there as well. And I love both of them. I have both of them on my fantasy team.
There's a reason why I put them together.
Yeah, exactly. You're good at this. So a little birdie told me. There's no reason to doubt either of these guys. Bradley said this week he's just looking to play. For the first time in a while, he's set throughout his bag, and he said that on Jason Sobel's show, Hitting the Green on SiriusXM this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure to give proper credit there. And he's just in a comfortable place, and his play is playing. They had a brilliant Sunday at Bay Hill, but I can't get away from Jason Day right now. Everything's clicking for the guy. For him, big family. It's not easy. Keegan, not as many kids, but in a terrific place in his career. Both these guys in their prime, relatively. Actually, Day's kind of in the second wind at an age when most guys are in their prime. It's a bit of a coin flip, but I'm gonna ride Day this week.
And many people weren't sure if Jason Day would make another comeback, and he technically, I'm sure by his standards, hasn't made a comeback yet. He wants to get back to that 2015, 2016 form. The guys who are in that form, top players in the world right now, I'm sure people are debating, do I pick Rahm or do I pick Scheffler? Technically, we know Rahm's lights out 3 wins in 2023 alone. Scheffler had the 1 at Phoenix. Scheffler's really kind of been up and down, though, this entire year, especially if you saw the way he really kind of struggled his way around the Arnold Palmer last week, except for, a couple of great shots on random holes. But again, Rahm, his statistics here really aren't the best, but Scheffler's are way worse. So you got 2 stars. Who do you pick if you don't really know which one plays this course better?
Yeah, part of that art form I was referencing earlier isn't so much art as it is just respecting the course. And I wrote about it all week, about TPC Sawgrass always wins this thing. And good course history here almost is a coincidence as it pertains to success or the course, I should say, the success on the course pertaining to the course. Rahm is 5 for 5 here in this event, but I wouldn't be surprised if he never contends. This is a place where it can just eat at you. As I said earlier, these guys are grinding in paradise. Scheffler, he just traipses along like golf's no big deal, easy. He's more balanced than. No, I should say no one is more balanced than he is. He's tied for first with a lot of guys, but he's in that list, and it's so impressive how he just gets up and hits the shots. I told the team last night in an email I need to quit him at some point. I just can't. So Scheffler's the answer. I'm not going to quit him yet.
Well, to me, Scotty Scheffler just became that guy who had to learn how to win. I mean, you think about the Thomases and the Spieths and all these guys who were young and had all these accolades and everybody loved them. If you think about it, before last February, Scottie Scheffler still had to learn how to win. And it was almost like when he did that and he learned how to win, like a light bulb went off, and all of a sudden he could play his best golf more often. He could be more consistent on a daily basis. And right now we're still waiting, when is Scottie Scheffler going to fall off? And we really don't know when that answer is going to be.
Yeah, you can't overstate that in any form of context. The problem he had was that he got so good so quickly. Mm-hmm. He ended up playing in all of the deepest fields, where it's just harder to win because of the quality of talent against who's he's competing. So once he got through at the WM, suddenly now there's a belief that he never could have before. Certainly, I wouldn't expect a guy like that to have that. Certainly, everybody has at this level has an inner confidence that brought him to this level. But there's also humility about the guy.
Yeah.
And once he found that spot, he's been gangbusters. It's one of the reasons I love him. He's just done it the right way.
So if Rahm and Scheffler are the future of the PGA Tour, Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas are really, if you want to put it bluntly, trying to keep up. Rory might be saying he's playing. Rory is probably saying he's maybe playing the best golf of his life. I think 2012 Rory might differ, but they're two very different people. Thomas and McIlroy, two former winners here, two guys with gangbuster shots gained at TPC Sawgrass. They know how to play here. If you had to pick one, who would it be?
Brought this up in a quick social media hit. I actually had over my shoulder this afternoon for Golfbet, and I had to pick my winner, and I went with Rory McIlroy. He happens to be atop the power rankings, so I stuck to my guns there. That was on Monday. It's Wednesday now, tournament week. But there's again this unquantifiable thing about Rory McIlroy. We experienced it last year at the RBC Canadian Open when there was quite a bit of, there's been a lot of this with LIV Golf and this competition between tours, and it really bubbled up that week. And he sent a statement that week inside the ropes to defend his title. Yep. There's been a lot more with LIV Golf in the last couple of weeks. Rory's been out front for all of it. He's saying the things that need to be said.
And he's been honest.
Be heard. That's the best part about it. There's been a sense of transparency that you can understand where he's coming from. He's also a sole practitioner, and he has Rory McIlroy Incorporated to be concerned about. Yet, when it comes to actually competing, he has a sense for the momentous. And this is another one of those weeks. You asked me earlier what the vibe is like. Mm-hmm. The vibe is like that for him this week.
Is the longer rough an issue for Rory? And I'm actually asking you, as someone who's still making my four picks, is the rough longer, and is that an issue for Rory this week?
Thought I saw a pencil in your hand. So what we've learned, it's up to 3.5 inches. Last year was 3 inches.
Okay.
Previous year was 2.5. So scoring, it will be defended just fine. It should be just over par, as it always is. They'll dial it in. They'll make sure the whole locations are fair. The tour does an incredible job everywhere they go. With that. So no worries there. What we've learned is the further you hit it off the tee, the closer it is to the hole, the better off you are, even in this rough. We're going to find out. Now, he could probably still get around this place. It's only 7,200 plus yards with 3 woods at times, and hit to a yardage in the fairway and pull a 7-iron instead of a 9-iron from the rough or something like that. And he knows the place so well. There really isn't a course history. The only guy that rushes to mind that may have mastered this place without winning it yet in a very short period of time is Shane Lowry. Very excited to see what happens with him this week. He's also in my lineup. Made sure of that. They tried to save the start for him in PGA Tour Fantasy Golf. But I'm going to simplify with that specific question because the further along he is, it's not going to be unfair. It's not going to over penalize, and Rory's not going to. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. He just doesn't execute as often as we'd like him to. But we see every shot he hits, so we're going to see all of the mistakes. Sometimes they're more magnified than they really need to be.
It makes it the perfect test, that's for sure. Rob just basically filled out half of people's lineups right there, so you can go ahead and say you're welcome. Before we go, you got time for one more game?
Absolutely, man.
Okay. I'm giving you 6 options here. Which of these 3, pick 3 of these 6, that you think could be true at the Players' Championship this week. John Rahm doesn't contend. He's outside the top 30. Jordan Spieth, who's never contended here, is inside the top 15. We have a repeat winner of the Players, Rory, JT, Webb Simpson, Siwoo Kim, whoever it may be. Tyrrell Hatton has 4 or more water balls, and he's not happy about it. Colin Morikawa misses the cut. A lot of talk about Colin Morikawa. Some people are picking him. Some people are saying he's cut. Or we have a first-time PGA Tour winner, which probably would be the coolest story. Of those 6, which 3 would be true?
2 immediately rush to mind. I love this game. I can play this all day.
Let's do it.
Rahm is going to finish inside the top 30. That bet is even on the board is silly. They're losing money on that one. Spieth.
Hold on, with Rahm, is it have a lot to do with because he played poorly last week? Do you think that's kind of the bounce back factor, so to speak?
Yeah, last week it's over. He admitted it. He'll turn the page. He always does. He hasn't had another finish outside the top 30 in months.
Uh-huh.
So just in the pure simple of the game of who he is and playing well on this place when he needs to, he's going to, he wants to retain number 1 in the world. That's important to him. He has stated that, and this gives him the opportunity to get back there. Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer for me.
That's one.
No, I want him. He will finish inside the top 30.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you're not picking that. I apologize.
Crossing that one off. Okay. Spieth inside the top 15. I have to go with that.
Really?
It's been a long time, but he did. Yeah, he did. He did have a co-runner-up in his debut. It's funny. Xander Schauffele had a very strong finish in his debut. Neither of those guys have played well here before.
No, cut.
But in terms of ranking, I mean, I got to pick 3. If I only had to pick 2, he would be the one I would cut from the 3. How's that?
There you go.
The repaid players winner. I could see that. I don't expect. Yeah, I mean, there's been so many quality winners that are still playing the PGA Tour at a high level. Given these 6 options, that's fair.
I think there's a better chance that, and down goes the camera again, but he quickly gets it back up because he's a professional. And the man's wearing a suit today, by the way, in the 75-degree temperature. He claimed that it wasn't that bad out there, and he's even able to frame the shot almost perfectly.
Yeah. I had a couple guys walk by with a ladder. It vibrated the floor. I don't know what it looks like now. I got a big glare in my face. But
it's actually fine. Hey, what I was saying was, I'd say the odds are we don't get 3 of these this week.
Okay.
I think that's the odds, right? Because Rahm inside the top 30, I think Spieth inside top 15 is tough. If we get a repeat winner, that means we're not getting a first-time winner. Colin Morikawa, is he going to make the cut? I don't know.
I like the Hatton with the 4 water balls.
Yeah, that's the best bet.
It's that. So I like Spieth, I like repeat players winner, and I like Hatton.
Okay, those are your 3.
Put me down. Even though I have Spieth missing the cut of the Golfbet Insider, this is the beautiful thing about this craft. Sometimes the same player doesn't make sense in a different game, and that requires you to always remain fluid given the test in front of you. And you have to remain, I suppose, a little humble to make sure that you don't jump into everything with the same answer. You know what I mean? There's context to it.
That is why we love the game. Hey, Rob Bolton from PGA Tour, your insight is invaluable. Your scenery there is pitch perfect. I mean, we got the sun right behind you. The glare's fine, doesn't matter. You picked up that phone quickly and got it back in the frame every time. I loved having you on Find the Fairway, and I hope you have a great week. And I hope all your bets, all your picks in fantasy golf come true at the end of segment 2 here.
Thanks, pal. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for putting up with me and this set I have here. Really appreciated the time as well. Great talking with you.
We'll see you.